And one of the top ag economists in the country has a similar message of hope. He's standing by right now with Neil MELANCON. Neil?
All right, thank you, Mike. I am here at the Louisiana Ag Industries Association annual meeting, and I'm speaking with Jim WEISEMEYER, an informal economist. And Jim, you were here last year. One of the things that you spoke about last year that I found interesting ahead of all of the kind of downturn in the economy, especially in grain prices, was you said to look for Starbucks, especially as one of the indicators. When people stop spending money on coffee, they stopped. That's not a good sign for the economy. And sure enough, Starbucks is closing stores and layoffs are happening, as well as general layoffs across the board. Bring me up to date. I guess what I'm looking for over the next 12 months, what kind of signposts can we look for like that will kind of point to which way this economy is going?
Well, first you have to have a low established into the overall market, and we're hopefully getting there. We're not quite there yet. What I would look for is historically your stock market you bottom 6 months before the employment situation stabilizes or actually turns around. So you need to see if this latest downturn in the stock market does not make new lows. If it makes new lows in that 7,400 area in the Dow, then we could have a few more months of basing. Some other positive signals that's happening, you're seeing some narrowing of the spreads in credit instruments, what we call the LIBOR rate. So you're beginning to see a thaw in some of the banks in the loaning. The best news I've been able to find out is corporate loans. Last quarter, corporate bonds was about $20 billion. So far this year, we've had $80 billion in corporate bonds. Now, that's a good sign, but we're not out of the woods yet. We have a very negative, consumer attitude, and until you turn that caveat around, we're just going to continue to go lower for the short term.
One of the things I want to talk about, and switching gears here briefly, is grains and the downturn in the economy or as far as the ag prices go. One of the big things on the table here is the turning around of the implementation of the Farm Bill by USDA. There's a lot of different interpretations that are going on, and there's a comment period right now. Tell me what you see is happening and why this is kind of important for us.
Well, it's important for many different reasons, especially Mid-South and Delta, because of the payment cap and the actively engaged issues. We've got one of the most activist, I think, new USDA secretaries in Tom Vilsack that I've seen in my over 30 years in Washington. Now, he's reopened a number of the final rules, not only on Farm Bill implementation, but a lot of other issues. But what I'm hearing from farm state senators, especially Saxby Chambliss, the ranking member from Georgia on the Senate Ag Committee, do not change the intent of Congress. In other words, don't change that anymore. So we're going to have to see. There will be Farm Bill implementation hearings. I will guarantee you, if any administration does not follow the intent of Congress, Congress will go ahead and legislate again, what they wanted to transpire in the Farm Bill.
As far as going into planning and whatnot, what can we look for agriculturally wise?
Well, the big acreage report coming out in the March intentions report, we've already had USDA's early guesses relative to their Ag Outlook conference, but we're going to really focus on the actual first big survey of plantings. We believe that a significant amount of corn and soybeans have not yet been priced from the '08 crop. If that's the case, and you don't have an acreage problem, and you have a relatively open planting season, you could get a downturn of a significant degree in the spring, and you would also get wider bases, as a lot of that corn that went into the bins with the high moisture has to come out because of fear of going out of condition. Again, that tends to suggest lower prices ahead. Sell rallies. Sell rallies.
All right, thank you, Jim. Jim WEISEMEYER, an informant economist. I'll be back more later with my bottom line segment, and we will have a lot more right after this.